Hello, and thank you for watching today's Corn Belt Regional Forecast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Over the next 10 days, we're going to watch a big transition from a summer-like pattern across the eastern half of the Corn Belt to a much more seasonally appropriate pattern here, and seeing a little bit of warming in some of these areas that have been very cold over the last 5 to 10 days. And that includes parts of the Dakotas transitioning to maybe a couple degrees warmer than average. Wouldn't that be so luxurious as we head into the day 6 through 10 time frame? Over the next 5 days, we've got a frontal boundary stalled across this region. That's going to keep showers and thunderstorms in the forecast over the next 1 to 3 days from the southern plains into parts of the central and the northern Corn Belt all the way through the Great Lakes. And as you look at the next 10 days, not much difference versus what you see up here in the next 5 days. And that's because we do transition to a quieter pattern. We've got this frontal boundary that's going to move out of here in the next couple of days. We've got another system that'll swing through the parts of the Corn Belt here over the weekend. But beyond that, really looking like a quiet period, maybe some opportunities to dry out in some of these areas that have seen repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Over the last 24 hours, really just looking at the precipitation here, you can kind of almost draw in the surface pattern here. We got an area of high pressure to the southeast, flow going around that clockwise, pumping moisture in from the Gulf of Mexico. Got the jet stream doing something like this, a big trough in the west and that ridge in the east. So you can see the flow kind of following that ridge right here, and it's in that dividing line between the cooler air mass on the west side here and the warmer air mass on the north side, or on the east side, that we're seeing these repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms. So I've really made a complicated map there, but you can kind of see the flow kind of going around that area of high pressure to the southeast and then following the jet stream here through the central plains into the Great Lakes. We'll see that once again here when we look at the satellite picture. Again, the flow going around that area of high pressure in the southeast. Got the trough in the west, that ridge in the east, and it's on that dividing line here, the showers and thunderstorms separating the cooler air on the backside and that warmer air feeding in advance. Looking underneath those cloud tops, here is the radar as we wake up on Tuesday morning. Again, watching that frontal boundary again from the southern plains into the Great Lakes as the main area for showers and storms as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours. We will see this eventually moving off to the east. Here's what this looks like with the frontal picture. The area of low pressure right now across Ontario, across the northern Great Lakes, that frontal boundary extending back through Wisconsin, Iowa, and Nebraska. We've got another area of low pressure developing across the central plains, and that's going to sweep through the Midwest here and help bring that frontal boundary through the area finally, but bringing in some much more seasonally appropriate air on the backside there as it does so into the late part of the week and into the weekend. Over the next 3 days, we kind of see our severe weather threat begin to wane as this frontal boundary loses a little oomph and moves on out of the area. But we still have today to get through a slight risk of severe storms through central Kansas into parts of northern Missouri, Iowa, and then the border there between Illinois and Wisconsin as we head through Tuesday afternoon and evening, watching for some strong storms to flare up in that area. As we head into the day on Wednesday, that risk becomes much more small, a marginal risk here across parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. By the time we get to Thursday, down here in the bottom right, not talking about any organized severe weather across the Corn Belt. Now the big transition, here comes the cold front. We've been very summer-like here across parts of the central and eastern Corn Belt. We'll watch this front finally, it's slow going, but finally make its way through the central and eastern Corn Belt here, bringing some relief in the form of some much more seasonally appropriate temperatures. And we can take a look at what happens with the precipitation here. Again, heavily focused in this corridor over the next 24 to 48 hours as this front finally swings through the central and eastern Corn Belt, really losing a lot of its oomph. I'm not expecting any significant precipitation across really parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. This would be eastern Missouri into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, parts of the Mid-South, Kentucky, and Tennessee. We'll go ahead and put this in motion. And we'll go through stepping through time here each day so I can point out the afternoon severe weather risk here across parts of the central Corn Belt as we head through the afternoon and evening. Again, watching for these thunderstorms to flare up in this area from Kansas into parts of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Again, a risk there for maybe a couple of tornadoes. Probably going to be talking about more in the way of damaging wind gusts with any of the stronger storms as we head through Tuesday afternoon and evening across that region. Taking this through Tuesday night, we can see these thunderstorms continuing from Kansas into the Great Lakes along this slow-moving frontal boundary. We get into Wednesday morning now. We watch things kind of flare back up across that frontal boundary across the Great Lake, or across the Central Plains into parts of the central Corn Belt, seeing some cold rain and perhaps a few snowflakes on the backside here. We got lots of cold air coming in from the north, from the Canadian Prairie, where they just got a ton of snow dumped on them. and that may bring enough cold air southward to get a few snowflakes mixing in there across parts of North Dakota and northern Minnesota. And this would again be looking at Wednesday night. We'll head into the overnight Wednesday night, seeing showers and storms really starting to break up and kind of quiet down along that frontal boundary as it moves through the central and eastern Corn Belt. Parts of central Illinois and Indiana perhaps getting leapfrogged by this. And what I mean is, seeing Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, showers and thunderstorms across this area. They begin to make their move off to the east and then die out overnight. By the time we get into the next afternoon, that frontal boundary has already moved on, and we see showers and storms flare back up off to the east. So big question marks as far as how much rain we actually get out of this across parts of eastern Missouri into Indiana. But that's not necessarily a bad thing for many of us here who have seen quite a bit in the way of showers and storms over the last week or so. I mentioned maybe seeing enough cold air coming in on the backside in this area. We'll flip it over, look at the precipitation type forecast. Just taking this on through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and there you see it. Maybe a few snowflakes working in there Wednesday night into Thursday morning across parts of the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. Not expecting any kind of accumulation like we saw across the prairie and across Montana. Total accumulated precipitation, again, we see it stack up there along that frontal boundary from the southern plains into parts of Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Wisconsin, going to be where the more significant precipitation falls over the next few days as this frontal boundary gets on out of here. We'll take a look at the GFS precipitation type forecast, and again, this will highlight this frontal boundary, the system on the weekend, and then this drier pattern that we're heading into next week. So we'll go ahead and we'll watch this scene. Here go Tuesday night into Wednesday, going into Thursday now. Watching this initial system work on out of here, we see high pressure coming in on the backside, bringing that more seasonally appropriate temperatures, those cooler temperatures as we head into the later part of the week and into the weekend. Here comes the next area of low pressure organizing across the central plains as we get into Friday evening now. And this really quickly moves through the area as we go through Saturday and then into Sunday now. So it's a Saturday through Sunday, just quick moving storm system from west to east, getting on out of here through the weekend. So once we get on the backside of that, high pressure finally moves in. We really do quiet down as we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and beyond. Of course, we're getting out there a bit into the future and where we could see some changes, but really looking like we shift into a drier pattern, which is really good news for folks in this corridor who have been slammed over the last 1 to 2 weeks. Once again, total accumulated precipitation, you see a stack up there initially with that first frontal boundary slow going, getting out of here, but then as we take this out over the coming 10 days, all the way through Thursday, October 10th, not seeing much in the way of additional precipitation. So once again, folks in this corridor here, across parts of eastern Missouri into parts of central Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, down on into parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, perhaps remaining dry, or at least mostly dry over the next 10 days total. And then again, even in this area that looks very hard hit, this is really mostly going to fall over the next 24 to 48 hours. Maybe another reinforcing shot of some precipitation as we head through the weekend, but then drying out as we head into next week on the heels of some much more seasonally appropriate temperatures finally sinking into the Corn Belt. High temperatures for the next 5 days. Well, we got one more big summer-like day across the eastern Corn Belt. High temperatures in the 90s for the day Tuesday across parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio on southward from there. But that cooler air already starting to push in from the northwest. Your highs in the Dakotas in the 40s for the day today. Heading into the day on Wednesday, watching that cold air or the cooler air slowly sinking into the region. Here are your Thursday highs, 60s now spreading into the eastern Corn Belt, and then taking it over by the time we get to Friday. Saturday, your highs anywhere from the mid-50s across the Dakotas down towards the mid-70s near the Ohio River. Now, as we look at overnight low temperatures, the coldest air is going to be moving in here Thursday and Friday, and that means low temperatures perhaps below freezing across parts of the western Dakotas into western Nebraska. And then as we head into Thursday night and Friday morning, perhaps seeing the first frost across parts of the northern plains into the upper Midwest, temperatures perhaps dropping below 0 Celsius, dropping below freezing is what I meant to say, in North Dakota, parts of northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin into the UP of Michigan. That the core of the cooler air begins to move off to the east as we head into the weekend here with freezing temperatures possible across the northeast, but temperatures mostly returning to the 40s and 50s across the Corn Belt by the time we get into the weekend for your overnight lows. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have our U.S. long-range weather analysis tomorrow morning. That would be Wednesday morning. An in-depth look at the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video. And I'll be back with your next Corn Belt regional update on Friday morning. Have a great day.